play G5. And then
G5
he
is a
can
good move, I think. G5 should get the job done. What? 94. 94 I think is just 94 I think is more brutal. It just is like clean, and it just takes off the defender, and it's basically saying I have the math is in my favor. It's just math because you have extra, I call it extra light money. Okay, like a light square bishop, I say is $1,000 of light. A knight is 500 light and 500 dark. It's a little of both. I mean, it's definitely both. You can get to either color at a moment's notice, but it's slower and short range. So white's behind on light money. That's black is ahead, but white's ahead actually on dark. But the problem is it just doesn't. It's not important. It's like currencies. Like he invested in a terrible currency. Light was the king was there. He invested in some long thing, and he's basically sabotaging everything important. So
That better?
Queen takes, King G2, and then Lev's move G5. I think is just absolutely over. And H3.
H5.
H5, maybe even F5. See if it open the F file a little bit. They always say when you see a good move, look for an even better move.
If you just play H5, it's the same.
Same thing, same effect. You're gonna get the knight anyway. I think it's essentially the same, but yeah. But, crack him on light, and it's just over. Now, so we asked, is it good, bad, terrible, or loss? And we said terrible. We didn't say loss. So how? Let's make sure we don't get lost. If you do the trade. Now, this is a terrible trade. I don't think we're going to do that on move 2, move 3. But there are times when we actually have to make such a trade. There are times when you kind of lose a bishop. Maybe he takes your bishop. Like, oh, what now? And hopefully not as a fatal as this, but you lose a bishop. Sometimes it's not pleasant. So what do we do? How do we make a new bishop? Any thoughts? General, how to create a new bishop?
Get rid of one of the other ones.
With pawns.
With pawns. Okay, pawns could act as mini bishops. Okay, you make pawn chains on light squares. That's actually a small bishop. Okay? Clear? Mini bishop. We'll see that in a second. It's called pawn chains. But it's actually new bishops. So again, bishop takes knight, not ideal, but it gets, we can make up for it sometimes. By the way, if we do make up for our lost light, if we sufficiently make up for our light, then we might even have an edge. Why would we have an edge? One day we might have an edge. Because we have more of what?
What?
Dark. More dark, right? Okay, let's see how it plays out. There are some interesting openings where that consists. Well, yeah, go ahead.
If you've gotten rid of or lost a light square bishop, is it a good idea to try to go after the opponent's light square bishop, or going after even the opponent's dark square bishop?
Maybe. I mean, it depends. I think in this scenario, where there's just too much at stake on light, you have to deal with light. Going after dark might actually make things worse if you think about it, because you're gonna lose more momentum on light. Like you might actually, if you would trade a knight, well, let's see how that plays out. It's kind of interesting where.
I'm not necessarily talking about this particular game, but
yeah, I understand. Yeah. I think if you could trade back as light bishop, that makes it equilibrium. Sure.
Well, what about getting rid of his dark bishop?
Then you're going to have a disparity. You're going to have a lot more dark and a lot less light. And then you're going to have to feel like your light situation squares are more important or less important than dark.
Better castle queenside.
Castle queen. I think if you castle queenside, and if he has some dark square weaknesses, I would just say go for dark. Is that clear? But yeah, it's tricky. Usually here it's hard to prove, and it takes so many moves to castle queenside. But maybe it's okay. Maybe that's one way to deal with it. Take. Okay, in this position, I would say put pawns on light. D3. Humble move, but you made a bad move. You gotta start being humble now. Now's the time to be humble and defend.
And it doesn't lock in your bishop.
And it helps the bishop.
Yeah.
We're putting pawns on light. We say a pawn is a brick. We have a light brick. So, building in harmony, when we make harmony, usually the pieces benefit as well. That I've noticed a lot of times, and don't have a clear explanation. It just makes sense because harmony is harmony. Harmony should be a good thing. Okay, so the pieces benefit as well. Everything benefits. Okay, so again, this is a pawn chain, and it's actually a mini bishop. So we're trying to replenish our lost light bishop. Okay, create handmade bishop. Is it the same as a bishop? No. It's shorter, and it can be cracked. Okay, black often will play f5 or c4, pawn lever. Pawn levers could always be strong, particularly when your opponent has a golden bishop. When you don't have a bishop and you need that mini bishop and you lose it, it's a problem. So you might have to bolster it. You just cannot get cracked. Okay, what's the move now for white? It looks strange, but I would consider f3. Again, this is weird. A lot of pawn moves. It goes against piece development, but you kind of need it. You're in danger of getting crushed on light. You put pawns on light. Okay. Let's just see a few moves how it can play out. Knight e2, b6. Let's assume black plays the same way. So maybe black can switch up to it. Maybe black can play bishop h3. Knight f4. Notice that the knight influences light. The knight's kicking out the light bishop, saying like, you're not the only piece around on light. So he bishop, knight c3, c5, bishop e3, and okay, obviously queen d5 is not even possible at all. Queen d2, and well, how is white's harmony here?
It's
better.
even.
Pretty even, right? Well, what? Better than before. Better than before. It's not maybe perfect. Who would you rather be? Maybe still black, but hard to say. And this is along the line. Bishop h6 is possible. This is actually, we might start going after dark.
But black is going to first play rook to e8. And
Rook
that
e8.
stops bishop
Rook
h6.
e8. Yeah. Okay, good move. Rook e8. Might still try it, but then bishop h8. Important to keep the bishop here. You gotta, if I'm white, I might consider g4. Maybe hard to say. Yeah, it is unclear. Oh, for instance, here's an example though. I would not play f4. F4, it looks like a nice aggressive move, right? Why not?
Are you kidding me?
Knight g4.
Knight
Knight.
g4. I think there's worse problems than knight g4. Honest, knight g4 is possible. I don't even mind losing that bishop. I think it's like more the problem is that you're weakening e4 one day. Like knight g4 is clearly could be a problem, but you don't want to let this bishop get back. We did enough to patch up our light squares. You keep it there. Those pawns are not dispensable. You cannot move them. Okay. So what we talked about so far: harmony, two colors. The knights, bishops being a general on its respective color. A knight's being 500, 500. And if you lose a bishop, you try and rebuild with mini bishops. By the way, what about black? Black is behind on dark. Is that clear? So he might want pawns on dark. Okay. Yeah. People are familiar with the Grand Prix attack in the Sicilian? So a little.
Yeah.
I can show a variation there. I think is okay. And then we'll see some games.